look at this! It's definitely Homo Erectus.
Tibialis.
This is incredible. If Casey could see this, I mean, they don't even look that old. See, Homo erectus was a particularly intelligent species which existed about 25,000 years before my time.
Tibialis. Tibialis.
They were highly developed at hunting and making primitive tools.
Tibialis, people bad. We go.
You know, it wouldn't be for thousands of years before they developed into Homo sapiens, which is what I am.
Tibialis.
What? Bite?
Tibialis, people bite.
Bite. What do you mean bite? People eat? Big deal. Everybody eats. We all have to eat. You know, we didn't know that tickles. But please. Ouch! What are you doing? You mean people eat people? Cannibals? Oh, shit!
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Morgan Stark. This is why the Lannisters hate you. And a Lannister always pays his debts.
You even have big boobs. What have Wex big?
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I am your host, Jason Bishop, and with me today, as always, is Sam Stepanenko.
Ugh, me, Sam. Me eat meat. No, me beat meat. Me eat eggs.
Oh, that's pretty good. And Trish Coughlin, can you beat that intro?
Okay, so I like that there's not a lot of buildings around, and I feel like it's really good in nature, and I can get lots of good photos here. But does anybody have the Wi-Fi password?
All right. We're doing it this week for our anniversary, our 6th anniversary as well. What is 6?
It is 6, yes.
Yeah. It is our 6th anniversary, and I guess that's the traditional gift is candy. So we're working our way to diamonds.
Nice.
Slowly but surely.
Candy was so much better than paper.
Yes. Yes. This movie's not a diamond.
I wish I would have known that before y'all got here. I'm sure I got candy around here somewhere.
There's got to be candy somewhere. We can deal with the candy.
Ooh, I have M&Ms.
Okay.
The peanut butter kind.
Ooh,
Product
yes.
placement.
Like it.
Yeah.
Like it. Peanut butter M&Ms.
They need to pay me for that one now. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, we're going to be doing a fan challenge today, and that's going to be Cavegirl from 1985. This request comes from Morgan Stark. Apparently the Lannisters didn't like it, but we'll find out how we thought about it right now.
Uh-huh.
You mean now?
Now.
Now.
How about now?
Okay.
Now.
Can we do it now? Can we?
Now.
Now.
Now. That was already funnier than this movie. Morgan, I know you might be a regular of the show, and anybody else who's a regular listener of the show, I'm always fascinated when you send me an email for a request, and we approved this request, and we thought this was a good idea, and had some definite room for improvement. But whenever you say this is your favorite movie, I really, really want to know why. Inevitably, every time in these horrible movies, and it's my favorite movie. Oh, have you listened to our podcast?
Yeah.
Everything is better.
I think.
Well, no, it's not.
That's not
Yeah.
true. Most of it's pretty bad too.
When you say it's your favorite movie, I honestly think we should be teaming up with some of the mental health counseling programs and be like, you've said this is your favorite movie, so we'd like to put you to better health.
There's got to be a specialist out there somewhere who specializes in people with bad taste.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have bad taste, which means there are wonderful bad taste movies out there.
Yes.
Go watch the new Suicide Squad movie. The Suicide Squad. That first one, garbage. Garbage fire. But James Gunn let off the leash like he did on Slither. That's the Suicide Squad. You're gonna freaking love it.
Yes.
And there's some like just bad movies where the camp factor is really just enjoyable. Like, I mean, there's like, what comes to mind immediately is Fright Night 2. It's not great, but it is enjoyable.
Yes. Sam and I both texted each other within the first 10 minutes of watching this movie.
Yes.
Sam with a disapproving wag of his digital finger.
Yes. Yes. My exact words, it hurts. It physically hurts. That pain did go away. I started to see the little nuggets of fun in this movie, and I did enjoy it a lot more than I was expecting based on that first 10 minutes. But it's still not good. Morgan, really, I mean, I'm hoping that this is your favorite bad movie and that you have like a true favorite that's actually a good movie. I mean, I'm not one to criticize people for their favorites because everybody has their own taste, but we can question it.
Yeah, whereas I actually texted Sam back, and I was 8 minutes in. And I go, I don't know about you, what you're talking about. This movie's hilarious for all the wrong reasons. I mean, how did they afford that helicopter shot?
Yes.
Like, it doesn't look like very much, and how could they afford a helicopter when they couldn't afford an actress to teach an actress how to open a locker? You know, it's we don't have time.
That was physically painful,
right?
Like that actually hurt to watch.
Yeah.
Like I said, it does get marginally better and at least reasonably watchable once you get past the sort of the painful sort of setup stuff.
The traditional kind of screwball school nerd comedy.
No.
That they tried to do did not work. Like, this is meant to be a sex comedy by people who don't understand comedy.
Or sex.
Or sex.
Or sex, for that matter, yeah. The movie's really well shot. The script, when I watched it, especially when I finished it, it just reaffirmed everything I thought at the beginning. It feels like a leftover, like, exploitation movie from the Grindhouse 70s era, like one of the comedy Grindhouse movies, because it feels like it should be that bad. You've got a bunch of actors who only ever did this movie.
Yeah.
And the director only did this movie. He did a lot of other stuff in the industry, but this was his only feature as a director.
You know what I felt in some of those moments? There's a lot of kind of like musical interludes throughout this movie, padding out the time. And somehow in my head, I'm like, oh, so this is what they did so they could play it on TV because this is where the softcore porn belongs. Because that's what it feels like.
It's actually fairly tame. There is the bit at the beginning where they scratch out the sign saying women only. I mean, if you've been on campus for a while, why would this fool you?
Yes.
But, right? It was just dumb. You could see what was going to happen a mile away. And you have all these girls have just got undressed, so they're all in their panties, and they discover our main character, Rex, in the locker room and chase him around. This was added afterwards because the producers thought there needed to be more gratuitous nudity.
Yeah, well, this is right in the middle of the sex comedy craze.
Sure.
So I can see their reasoning. I can't see the logic, though.
Yeah, because otherwise it was the back in time era and with the cavemen, and you had the bigger woman mainly lifting her top in that one end scene with Eba. Don't know what a model is doing with the very 80s hair doing in caveman era,
what
and
a
why she
blonde-
wasn't immensely popular.
Well, no, I couldn't understand is what a blonde was doing at that time in history.
And that clean.
And that clean.
All of them.
And two, if we're talking about like basically a survival era of humanity, what you don't want is a woman who can't keep weight on, otherwise your offspring will die.
Yeah.
So she should have been an outcast.
Yeah.
Well, and they were. That was the whole thing, is this little tribe of prehistoric men or women. They were the outcasts. right? They didn't know how to hunt. They didn't know how to take care of themselves properly. So that was part of the
But
joke.
how did they not die before then if they couldn't do any of that?
When we get into the remakes, that's part of what I wanted to address in the remake.
I love the idea that now that you just said it, I'm like, oh, she's blonde hair. She would be seen as some sort of demon spawn, and that's why she was living alone.
Yeah, and I kind of saw her as sort of that missing link between in the evolution, right? So she's sort of the next, like the first human, like Homo sapien, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, amongst her tribe, I think she was certainly a little more advanced. Yeah. I have an idea because they said the Cro-Magnon, the Homo erectus. Yeah, it's a Woody joke. They didn't really show that they were super intelligent because they get shown right near the end of the movie. So they get captured and then they escape, and that's pretty much it. And there's some fire breathing for some reason, and one of them's Asian.
Which would be more, you would think would be actually for North America would be more likely to see.
Yeah. Fact, we can just relocate something. So, because I do have an angle and it does require our cavemen to be white, but you'll know why when we get to that portion of the show.
No, that sounds like...
Well, it's also like when you say like she would be the outcast and sort of the missing link because she learns a bunch of English in like 2 days.
Very smart.
She's ultimately smarter than the lead.
Yes. Who's supposed to be a nerd.
Yes.
He's a bad nerd.
Let's talk about this high school for a minute. This high school is populated by a bunch of 30-year-olds. So they've been in high school for a good 15 years.
Only 12, 30-year-olds.
They're all morons.
Yeah.
That could be why. Because I keep wondering, I'm like going, there's these like maybe 8, 10, 30-year-olds. And the reason they're still in high school is because they are that dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the lead, who wasn't, Daniel Roebuck wasn't that old when he did this movie. But because of the way they dressed him.
Yeah. He look like he's 40.
Yeah.
He probably was, I would still say he might be. I didn't actually try to look at his birthday and stuff.
He played a teenager in The River's Edge like 2 years after this movie.
Yeah.
And looked more like a teenager.
Yes.
Right.
So, because this was early in his career. I think his second movie and he had a lead role. Be it in a maybe not a great film, but...
Yeah, he didn't actually audition for the lead. He didn't think he'd get it. But yeah, they liked him and gave him the lead. And ironically, he is the actor with the most credits.
Yes.
So... it worked out for him.
It did work out for him. Well, I mean, he wasn't bad. Like the rest of the acting was awful, but he was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
given the script he had to work with.
Yeah, considering there was actually some half decent actors in here who went on to do nothing else because this piece of shit's on their CV.
Yeah, even the woman who plays Iba, she only did 5 or 6 movies, and they were all sex comedies.
And we will get a chance to talk about one of them again because one of them is not of this earth.
Oh,
and there's 3 of those. And that would have been the Tracy Lords one.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I remember seeing that one when I was an early teenager and boobies.
Yes, you were the target audience.
It made an impact,
yes, It did make an impact. There were less boobies than this show, though. I probably would have loved this if I'd seen it. Or not, I don't know. Not all the boobies were titillating. At least I liked that they had that. I wish they would have had some mutual nudity. I thought it might be some of those Grindhouse movies were, but I was expecting Grindhouse movie. This actually movie looks really good. Like the director is a cinematographer, but he mainly puts together title sequences for some really good movies. And I'll tell you when we get to that portion of the show where we rattle off the cast, and it'll be quick because I don't have any real connections to make.
No, one connection.
Yeah, there is one. But he's been involved and worked on some big movies, but as a director, done. And you can see that as a cinematographer, he's pretty good, and he clearly knows what he wants. Like his location looked fairly good for the most part. Didn't look at it like it always cooperated with him, but
no,
with the rain and the fog, but that certainly worked in some advantages. And then the use of that helicopter at the beginning, I'm like, oh, this actually looks like they have a little bit of money. And real animals that were used. I mean, not a lot. You had a bear that kept showing up.
And a cougar.
Which is kind of a joke in and of itself that they missed.
Yep.
Bears and cougars, eh?
Well, I think when that movie came out, the term cougar wasn't...
Oh, maybe not.
It wasn't in the vernacular.
Yeah, it wasn't in the vernacular yet.
I would love it when we go, cougar, and they're not pointing at the cat.
They're pointing at the cave woman who bears her breast all the time.
Our dumb jokes are way better than their dumb jokes. And that's part of the problem. All right, Morgan and everybody else, here it is. It's actually pretty good. The trailer for Cavegirl from 1985.
Rex was an average American male who didn't fit in modern society.
Homo erectus existed about 25,000 years ago. They hunted, they could make fire, they screwed a lot.
So Rex went on a quest that took him back 25,000 years. What Rex wanted was a little adventure. What Rex got was an ultimate fantasy.
Oh God, I think I've died and gone to heaven.
In a time when men were men. And Rex was in love.
You're beautiful when you're angry.
But even the Time Warp has its problems. The pets were a little wilder than most. The menu left a lot to be desired. And the neighbors kept dropping in. What do you get when you send a guy back 25,000 years? A massive eruption.
Let's move on to the biggie.
Cavegirl. Never before has the past seemed so much like the present.
That was the trailer for Cavegirl from 1985 with a screenplay by Phil Groves based on his story called Primal Urge. He's got really not too much behind him. He had another movie that he got a credit for called Beach Girls. You can imagine what that was, from 1982. And there was a 2021 fairly recently called Asteroid Hunters.
Oh, that's got to be on Tubi.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Gotta be. It's very recent. This was written, directed, produced, and the cinematographer were all David Oliver Feel. P-F-E-I-L? Puffil?
Maybe Feel. Yeah.
Feel?
Yeah,
Maybe
I assume.
Feel.
I assume.
It's like psychology.
Yeah, I assumed the P was silent.
Mm-hmm.
So, Feel. He probably was most famous for a Steely Dan music video
Nice.
as a director, but he was a title designer and title cinematographer on a lot of big stuff. I'm going to rattle off a whole bunch. Buck Rogers, The Muppet Movie, Footloose, Knight Rider, the TV show, 9 to 5, Rocky 3, Splash, Inner Space, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, Captain Ron, and Hocus Pocus, just to name a few.
Nice.
So people really like his title designs.
I can see Knight Rider in my head right now.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, because he has a great eye. I just think that the problem is he was wearing too many hats on this movie.
Oh yeah, that was when after we finished, I saw he did the screenplay and was the director, and I'm like, I wonder what else he did. I literally clicked on every category for crew, and I'm like, oh, he did a lot.
Yeah.
But that's the worst part is it was some of his money if he's a producer.
Yeah.
Behind this project.
I think if he had focused, I think that it would have been a different film. Like if he'd have focused on being a director and let somebody else be a cinematographer, which is, I know being a cinematographer, that's hard to hand over. But if he'd have done that, I think maybe we would have gotten something a little more coherent.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's very clear he didn't have a handle on the comedy and maybe just didn't have time to work it through, because there's a timing factor with comedy. I'm no expert at it, but I think I understand it more than they did. And Trish is an expert at it.
Yes. It was hard to watch.
And that kind of explains why the sight gags worked better than the
Yes.
dialogue gags.
Yeah.
Because the sight gags I actually found quite funny. Dated, but funny.
They were
Yeah.
dated. I mean, yeah, to put in the tarp and it turns into a trampoline. They were kind of visual, cartoony gags. You know, in a way, it just clicked. There, you know that Schwarzenegger Western that he did that feels like a Roadrunner cartoon?
No.
Oh.
Why? Do I not know this?
You have not seen... Oh, go find
Which one is it?
It's you just have to scroll in the IMDb and there's
It's one of
only
his early
one
films,
Westerns.
right?
Yeah, it's one of his early ones, and Kirk Douglas is the bad guy who is constantly the wily coyote. They literally do the cave gag where he paints the hole and the wagon goes through, and then he tries to follow and go splat on the painted wall. That actually happened in that movie.
Nice.
Wow.
I know I do want to see it.
It's still funny in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think those sight gags worked better because he's obviously a visual person. The running joke with the quote unquote leader of the tribe, sneaking up on them in their camp.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny.
I
Dated
loved
but funny.
it.
I
when
loved it
he
too.
just kept falling down.
Yeah, and then there's that scene where it's raining and he's got his little poncho over him, and everybody starts to snuggle in against him because he's got something that'll keep them dry. And I really enjoyed that. There was a moment of sensitivity there that I really, really liked. Right, and it was all visual.
Well, and it's also because considering what your story is and where it is, I mean, you cannot have a lot of comedy through dialogue when you're doing this type of movie. It has to kind of be visual.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the cast here. Daniel Roebuck is the lead. He's Rex. He is in every Rob Zombie movie ever, including the one we covered in episode 59.
Oh, would that be Halloween? Maybe.
Which
is coming up soon. All the horror's coming soon.
Yeah.
Halloween maybe sounds like the romantic version, like the Love Actually of
Yeah,
Halloween.
we're
Halloween
like-
maybe.
I'm actually, you just made me excited. I just realized like this episode drops at the end of August, and we're going to be getting into our September recordings. And next one drops on the 31st, so we're going to get into our October recordings in like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Very exciting.
The
Very
list
exciting.
has already started.
Oh, I've had an ongoing list. Somebody recommended one to me this week. We had Free Comic Book Day at Words and Pictures, and somebody recommended to it. So I put out my phone, and I'm like, let me add to the list. And I showed them my phone and scroll. There's the bottom. Added it on there. It's like, oh, you got a few to watch.
Yeah.
Like to get through all of that, I would probably need to watch 8 or 9 movies a day to get through the list I've got. So I have lots of stuff to pick.
And that's why I don't do a list. I just go to Tubi and go, okay, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good.
Inevitably, that's why you're doing. There's certain ones like, okay, you want to hit these and these, and then inevitably some randoms come in all the time. So, but that's half the excitement of doing Halloween.
Yes.
And
your
our
mood
31
drives you.
Yes, and then we're doing 31 Days of Horror. So right after the month of doing our regular episodes in October, which will be horror themed, we'll also do our 31 Days of Horror challenge. So yeah. And maybe a few guests will pop up along the way too. Cynthia Thompson was Eva, who I thought was quite good. Honestly, her facials were great. It did kind of remind me of was it 10,000 BC?
Oh yes, the one with Raquel Welch.
Raquel Welch, yeah. It did. Like, oh, she's got that Sheena quality. It's a little more Sheena, a little less Raquel Welch.
Yes.
But I think for comedy, she did pretty good. I loved it when she's like trying to communicate that this big pile of skulls is because this tribe is a bunch of cannibals, and she just like gnashes her teeth.
They bite.
And then bites him.
And bites him. Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty good. Darren Young was Dar. He was various people in Power Rangers through various versions of the show. So he's been a regular on Power Rangers, but as different characters in different iterations of the show. Saba Moore Doucette was cleverly named Saba. They couldn't even be bothered.
Well, did we ever actually really get names in the movie anyhow?
No.
Other than Eba.
I honestly, well, there was the other two girls in the tribe, and I've already forgotten which one's which, so I don't even know if I got it right in my notes.
Yeah.
She was in House of the Wolf Man. Now I'm going to rattle off some names because these guys were in nothing.
Nice.
Jeff Chayette was Arg. Charles Mitchell was Char. Cynthia Rulo was Aka. Tom Hamill was Casey. Billy Adams was Bill. Chris Noble was Hank. Bill Sayers was Ralph. And Stacy Swain, a.k.a. Stacy Q, was Brenda. Stacy Q was the music you heard during the movie.
I had a whole Stacy Q phase.
Did you really?
I did.
Isn't she like Two of Hearts?
2 hearts that beat as
That was her?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I recognized, because like the music was tight. She was like the bitch of the little group.
And I recognized her. I never put it together though.
No.
I'm like, I was actually mad. I'm like, I've seen her before. Why can I find out what it was?
Yeah.
It's because I didn't realize that she was Stacy Q.
Yeah, they probably approached her and like, oh, they could only afford one person's song, and like, oh, if you want to use this many songs, I'm in it. Little did she know. that maybe that wasn't a good idea. But it did make the movie sound better. It did sound like an 80s comedy.
Yeah.
And I kind of appreciate it. I'm like, oh, these are actually pretty good. There was one that wasn't hers. It was still a recognizable tune, but it felt like it didn't fit because almost all the other music was Stacey Q.
Yeah, and it created a tone and a feel, and it did feel out of place. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was about the beginning of the third act, somewhere around the 45-hour mark.
Oh, is it where they lose each other and then it's that whole tone poem of, oh God, we're searching for each other.
Ugh. Yeah.
Inexplicably, like, it just made no sense. I couldn't figure out exactly what had happened there. Yeah. It's like he gets knocked out or stoned. I can't even remember. It was
well, by that point, the tribe had been captured. Eba's tribe had been captured by the cannibals, and they were attacked and both of them were knocked out. And they took Eba, and I honestly, actually, I'm not sure if the tribe was attacked.
No, this is where they got drunk.
Yeah, and okay, that's right. They got drunk, and I assumed what happened after he got drunk is they pranked him and dropped him somewhere.
Yeah, but you're left going, well, okay, what actually happened here? And why is he so lost?
It's like leaving your drunk friend at the bar.
Right?
Yeah.
He's so drunk. Let's like leave him on the other end of the city.
The thing is, they established that he's this really smart guy. We did some really stupid things.
Oh, yeah. Like what I'll do in this place that I've never been that is thousands of years ago is just wander around willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like uber prepared. Did you see what was in his backpack? It was like the tickle trunk.
That backpack was okay. Yeah. Now that we got to the backpack, the backpack we need to talk about, because this is a writer's trope where we could literally dump anything we need for a scene.
Yeah.
For a gag or whatever. I've got tarps, I've got rain ponchos, I've got a lighter and condom, and I mean
cherry bombs.
Like, you watch him pull stuff out of the bag, and I think that's part of the gimmick, and I wish they would have just taken it further, showing you stuff that was impossible to be in there.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
Just start, here's a ladder.
Yeah.
Why is the shaving kit in there?
He had a bunch of rope, like he was going to go spelunking on this school trip.
Yeah.
I guess they were going spelunking. But
Yeah.
Well, to give them credit, they set up that joke really well early on with them stealing his backpack and pulling stuff out of it, right? And establishing that it's kind of like his lifeline. He needs, for whatever reason, he needs to have that with him. So they set it up, but they didn't quite go far enough with the setup, or with the follow through, I should say.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, you see some potential for some interesting sight gags. Like, it feels like it should be more of a screwball comedy than it is. Yeah. Like, they don't take it far enough. So the silly stuff that they do that feels like it should be in one of those, like, Revenge of the Nerds movies isn't there. Yeah. It should be almost close to Airplane, with maybe not as quite as far, but pretty close. Like, you want it to be silly.
Yeah, want it to be just a little bit absurd.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the problem with this movie, is it had all of these jokes that never went quite far enough. Like, the sex comedy jokes didn't really go far enough. The sight gags didn't really go far enough. The transition from boy to man didn't go far enough. Right? And that's another part of the story, is his transition to being super geek to being a man.
Well, super creep, because there's several aspects where I'm like, ew.
Yeah, and there's that too.
He ran away from the naked women, but he clearly was trying to bag Eba in a very creepy, rapey way.
He tries to introduce himself, and he just grabs her boobs, and is like, oh, yeah, like...
I love that she slugged him, but...
Yes. Right. And that's part of Eva's character too. And that you could kind of establish that as part of the reason she's an outcast too, is because even though she's an anomaly and an outcast, there's something about her that these men find attractive. And that's why she's so violently responsive when somebody touches her or tries to get at her.
Yeah, I want her to have been outcast by the other women within the tribe that are vying for their mates. I actually have, like, the big girl in here who kept, like, flipping her boobs around. I actually have somebody cast for this, and that's out of my script entirely, because the old gag, the old sight gag of the caveman in a comic book dragging the women by their hair, right?
Yeah.
I want to do the reverse of that, where, okay, yes, there's a tribal leader, but we really know who's in charge, and it's not him. Well, and I think that's kind of funny.
Yes.
It is funny, but I kind of also want it to be like Eba. I do want it to be like Eba is also an outcast, but I don't believe, like, these men are obsessed with her. I wanted to be like, no, because she looks weird. She doesn't look right.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like the beauty standards we have,
yeah.
she doesn't have a monobrow, and we find that odd.
Yeah, well, yeah, the blonde hair, everything, like she would be a witch or an outcast
Yeah.
or born strange. I think that is a great idea.
Yeah,
It's something
we're
I hadn't
frightened
actually
of her.
thought about. They actually are a little frightened about her, and that's part of her journey in our script
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
to win over her family, her tribe. These
Yeah.
are her people, and she
Mm-hmm.
wants to belong, and she needs to earn their trust.
Which is why she stays close to them, and that's where Rex comes in. Is as their relationship grows, so does her relationship with her tribe and family.
I have another concept with Rex. I've wiped out the 30-year-old high school students. We're not even in school anymore. I wanted to change it to more of an archaeological trip.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a college student rather than a high school student. Even, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking that because my cast is too old. But something to deal with archaeology, and this guy is an expert in prehistoric man and probably has some geological expertise, one or the other. Geological actually makes more sense because I want to have that stone again, but not the way they did it because they missed a really good joke there. I think we should have 2 glowing blue crystals with a big stalactite in the middle.
Well, if you're leaning into the sex jokes, yeah, that would be
I
fun.
want to place the sex gags kind of a little
See,
more out
I
of sight
went
rather than to put it on the characters.
Yeah, because
I went a different way with it. Is I had like red crystals around a portal.
Oh, well, that's fine too.
And you just go through. But when we talk about it, like he could be an archaeologist and talk about like ancient man thought this was a very sacred place. Like something strange
Yeah,
happened here.
I would make
and
him-
There's stories about
I
it.
would make that character, and if we have students, like he would be the instructor. He would be the smart guy and the expert. He wouldn't be a student. Like I want his problems to be in how he treats his friends and his family. He's distant and sucked into his work, and part of his journey when he travels back in time is really realizing the importance of his own family. He's made himself an outcast where she's been forced to be one.
Yeah.
And my character is black.
Nice.
They've never seen one before.
I was considering going that way, but I was thinking more who I could transition from that slightly geekier character. Because one of the things that would happen in a situation like that, because he's there for clearly a fairly long time. It's not just days, it's weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted a physical transformation. I wanted an actor who could sort of go from geek to a physically improved human being. I don't want to say improved, but physically changed human being.
Yeah.
I want his clothes to look like he's been out there for a while.
I think I wanted to make this thing relevant and less about the exploitation and more about growth of character. And that was kind of important to me, and throw some cultural relevance into it as well. You'll love who my cannibals are.
Well,
but I like the idea of them being fascinated with him because we would have him land on a continent where it would be white cavemen. And you'll see why I did that. I have a full cast of his friends who are pretty much all black as well. And I kind of want to make it from that perspective of a black man going into this white world, and he would be kind of treated differently too, because they've, again, unlike the blonde hair, they haven't seen blonde hair. They haven't seen this
and that makes them foreign,
African American,
and it's sort of it is topical in the way that we respond to people who are different to us. Certainly, yeah.
And I like the idea of like a simplified and quizzical mind of these cavemen, which this movie kind of embraces at times.
It does, but not well enough, right?
No, and exactly. That's something that I think we need to push forward because that's the stuff that worked. And you saw them become closer as a family unit as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's the moments where they're trying to hunt and they're horrible at it, right? And there's a missed opportunity in their script to have Rex be innovative and create a bow that allows him to hunt, or like he's smart and has all this knowledge that he should be sharing with the tribe that get them to accept him, and by extension Ida or Iba, right? So and that was all missed, and I was really disappointed in that they didn't.
I
take advantage of
honestly
that.
wished that when he pulled out the match to light the fire, that the other ones were there to see it. It was just Eba, and she's trying to light the fire. Yeah, leave it to the girl. He was being so sexist. It was awful.
Yes.
But Eba's trying to light the fire with the stick and the friction, right?
How you would normally do it.
Yes. And out he's digging through his bag. All this shit's coming out. And that's where you do the sight gag of things that are impossible to be in there. And then he finally pulls out the matches that were waterproof and lights the fire. And he goes, okay, I lit the fire. You go, you make the meal. Which I'm like, you had such a cool gag in there, and then you fucking ruined it with that sexist bullshit.
Right?
Yeah. Again, mid-80s sex comedy, right? And that's the thing. Those are the things that we can update quite easily.
We've already exercised it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had, like with my idea too, it wasn't simply Rex who goes back in time. I had like just another girl and Rex go back in time because it would be like, I would like to see kind of like the female friendship between like thousands of years as just how that would go.
Well, I kind of feel that's already covered by Eba when we have her reunite with her tribe.
But it is a difference amongst thousands of years. I mean, being an outcast woman now is different than being an outcast woman then.
Yeah. It just, I see what you're doing there, and I like it, but at the same time,
it's an interesting idea,
but it would automatically change the dynamic between Rex and Eba.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the point, because I didn't really have Rex as the main character.
How I solve a little bit of the sex comedy parts is Rex. I think she's going to be very attracted to Rex, but Rex has got somebody back home, and this is where part of his problem. He's so into his work. His relationship is on the rocks and not doing well. And he, instead of trying to go after, she's going after him, and he's trying really hard to like, oh no, I can't do that. Even though he's millions of years, well, maybe hundreds of thousands of years from ever getting to that cheating point. But it's cheating is cheating.
Yes.
Well, see, I would kind of approach it too, where it's like, no, I don't know if Eba's like super attracted right away, because he is going to look different.
No, I liked how Eba throughout this was just amused by him and very curious about everything.
I would
like,
just
we
have
don't
curiosity.
I mean, this movie doesn't have that actual sex scene till right at the end, and I don't feel like it really paid off. At least they built up enough to like it kind of works in the context of the movie, but he was such a dick throughout the whole thing,
and
trying
so icky.
It was so icky. He's trying to trick her into getting laid, and ultimately, thankfully, it was her choice, not his.
Yes.
But when you finally get there, you don't want him to get laid.
No,
like you're an asshole. You don't deserve anything.
It was.
I think he's not, and that was out of character too. Is that skeeviness really does feel out of character for Rex for all the other things he does.
Yeah, he's being like, before he goes to that portal, like he's the butt of everybody's jokes. We don't at any point see that aspect of his character, this horny teenager who's trying to pop his cherry.
But here's the thing. To me, that skeeviness wasn't out of character, because you'd have guys like this who would be like that. And what made me mad is I would have liked the comedy of, you've gone back thousands of years and women still don't want you because you're kind of a dickhead. Like, I would like to like kind of explore that as like going, yeah, no, it's not the time. It's not women. It's not how things are. It's because you're kind of a dick.
I feel like they did do it. That's why, I mean, if we've got a character we're going to follow on his shoulders, we got to like him.
Yeah.
We have to like him.
Yeah. And
we can't do this.
Well, that's what I was like. That's why I had the female character be the lead. And actually, I was going to have Rex in the place of the head of the tribe, following them everywhere, because the head of the tribe doesn't care. The head of the tribe has the women that he wants.
Yeah. I feel like that changes the dynamic of the film like too much.
Yeah. But at the same time, I kind of see where Trish is going.
Yeah.
Is it's called Cavegirl. Yeah. And there's not a lot really for the girl, and I think we've already sort of addressed that a little bit.
I think this would be very interesting, coming from the fact that, like, I wouldn't have a man go back. She would be the cave girl.
Yeah.
And that the tribal leaders fascinated, and then it becomes a bit of a jealousy angle from the other women in the tribe. But I don't know, that I was kind of liking my angle more, because there's more depth to character.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There is more depth to character with the female dynamic. There really
But what's she
is.
learning and what's she growing from? That's my angle. Like, what else is there other than the gags?
that was else there other than the gags. The fact that she's found another compatriot like thousands of years across time. The fact that she was always an outsider, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
That's
The
good.
fact that she's more self-sufficient than she ever could be in her entire life.
Okay, fair. I mean, Rex chooses to go back in his movie. He
Yeah.
chooses to stay there as well.
Yes. That's a tough one because I get what Trisha's trying to say there. But I mean, and I mean, when we do these remakes, we want to make sure that we're making it different enough that it's not exactly the same film.
Yeah, no, I mean, in doing that, like, the title still makes sense because she's become the cave girl in a way.
And then it would have, what would be interesting is to explore kind of the rippling effects of it by her introduction, which would be more different than if Rex was there.
I actually have something because this is a time travel story, essentially.
Yes.
I want on the expedition of whoever we're putting back, you have yours and I have mine, but in like some item
Yes.
that was in that bag, we have to focus on the camera, but they've already found it in the excavation.
Yes.
I
I
thought-
was
So-
waiting for that opportunity too.
Like here, yeah, there's all this stuff that I thought was very obvious that the film doesn't do. That hint that he was already there. They found the evidence of being there, and now we just have to put him there.
I thought the guy who said he believed him, I thought he found the glasses. I thought that was going to be
Actually,
the
I
thing.
think he was the caveman that came through. I think he was him.
Yeah.
As an old man.
Yeah. That's what I think too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting because they have this guy who's the tour guide of the cave who believed Rex and his crazy story when
Yeah.
he came back.
And there was that recognition.
And the recognition.
Yes.
And then when the guy came through, he recognized him because I think he recognized himself. He was that caveman
Nice.
and had adapted to modern day, which, you know, being isolated in the cabin, he didn't venture far from his people in that cave, but he chose like Rex, I feel like there was a journey we didn't see.
Yeah.
And like Rex, he chose to stay in the future rather than the past. But it took a while because, you know, he goes back with Rex initially as well.
Yeah,
and it's probably
absolutely.
through that learning through Rex that got him back there in the first place.
They
It was
know where this portal is now.
brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant for this terrible movie. And I feel like they needed to pull on that string a
Yes.
little bit more. Like, I loved all of that. Let's keep it.
Yeah.
Well, once they opened that, like you say, once they pulled on that thread, I'm like, oh, okay, now we're getting to something in this movie, and I was expecting more good movie. Because
And then it ends.
And
yeah,
then it
and then
ends.
it ends, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah, that was so good. And yeah, like I might change who that character was, but that girl that in my cast that is kind of the default leader of the tribe, more like controlling I'm
Yeah.
the chief, but really I'm in charge.
Yeah.
So I would have her be that character in the future.
Yeah.
But it's the way they handled that, and it couldn't be scenario. Like that's the thing. They had a good idea. They didn't know how to execute it.
Yeah. Well, the comedy with the hunting. I was so disappointed at their attempts at that. Because what would have been funny is they're trying to hunt and they accidentally kill something. Like they don't mean to. It's just a freaking accident.
Yeah,
and it's just
the
so
scenes are
stupid.
bad. Like you have the overlong spear, and that's through the narration they've learned to adapt and have a smaller spear. But the guy's just afraid of his kill.
Yeah.
I mean, really, these cavemen were the first vegetarians.
Yes. Absolutely.
And maybe that's part of the joke. They're vegans. but I liked how there was some self-discovery, but the jokes were just bad. Like there should be more failure. It's like, okay, you got him in line and somebody startles him, he throws a spear and down comes a vulture or something.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know?
Yeah, there's got to be more to it
Absolutely.
than them just being incompetent.
Yeah.
Right. And that, like I said, and there's also that missed opportunity for our Rex character to help them evolve.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of find that the tools that were actually made, that we thought were developed by this era of man actually came out of somebody coming back to the past. Right, like the kind of going back to your thought of finding an item that he'd left behind. He's also responsible, like directly responsible for the evolution of man.
Oh, and you'd have it because there's some talk about this, like when they talk about like how did humans really get here and how do we get this far. I mean, there is an element of luck to it, and then Rex can be like, so I guess there was an element of luck to how we got here.
Yeah. So, and I think that that's something that we could really lean into is the paradox of modern man coming back to create modern man.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right, or create modern society.
Yeah.
Right? The development and usage of tools that we always thought was sort of something that evolved was actually an accident of space and time.
Okay, so I have something for this. Oh, by the way, we're keeping the bear and the cougar.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Just so we could go bear, cougar.
What was it? Was Bircha? Birchu?
Oh, I don't remember
I
what the
can't
term with
remember.
the bear was, but I like the double entendre of bear and
Yeah.
cougar.
Yeah.
But I love the ideas where she's looking. He's got honey. He's got a bear. He's got bear honey in his backpack.
He's got this is a bear.
And she's like, Bircha.
don't get it.
Well, and that's what made the backpack so much fun was because all the stuff that should not be in a backpack kept coming out, but they didn't lean into it quite far enough.
No, at least the bear. They did the 3-time gag. It chased him twice, and by the third time,
they're
it was a
friends.
great bear. And he's at the river, and the bear literally shrugs. I don't give a shit about you.
Yeah, just sitting on his butt, just hanging out.
And they're
doing
like
bear
talking
stuff.
to him.
They're talking. Yeah, I'm like, this is a great bear.
Yes.
So the cannibals.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they set them up to be really smart. So let's make them uncharacteristically smart. We might have to figure out a way to wipe them out because they do get wiped out. But I want them to appear like modern man. Little stupid. It'd be like tap, tap, tap. They sneak up on their prey and go tap, tap, tap. Hey, dude, I'm going to eat you. Like, I just want them to be normal people and act like they're they'll dress like cavemen, but they'll talk like they're in the 2000s. I think that's something about that's really funny, and you'll love my caveman.
Yes, and I had a dark moment when you said that.
Please share, because I love dark thoughts.
The dark thought is that they came from another person who came from current times. Like they speak a bit of German accent because it was the German cannibal who wanted to eat somebody. And he's like, if I can just go back in time, then people will not frown upon it.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Guess who's coming to dinner?
That
I
could
mean,
be
I had to
funny.
go on the internet back in the old days. I do not want to do that anymore.
That's pretty good. That's good. I like that. And that kind of works. These guys will have to learn how to do an accent, but I like it.
No, I do like that. Is making it that he's not the only one. And again, it feeds right into that whole how that this twist of space and time actually influences everything that comes after it.
I kept the Asian fire breather, though. They all probably
Nice.
met in some red room in the dark web.
Or just at some fringe festival.
Yeah.
Because that's where I met a fire eater and a balloon guy. And never
I was
drink with a fire eater,
Burning
just
Man.
FYI.
I was more concerned about Fringe Festival having a whole bunch of cannibals show up.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went.
Well, it is on the fringe of human experience.
But I think a festival like that would be like where they'd find a portal like that would bring them through, right? Because
Nice.
they're remote and in caves and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
See, there we go. We can have two of them. One is the blue one that you created.
Okay.
The other one
Yes.
is the red ring. So,
Okay.
and
It won't really matter which one's which, but we can set both of them up.
yeah,
I love it.
This is really good. And maybe we can mesh our ideas, Trish, because
Okay.
I still kind of want to do the black guy.
If we have the two entrances.
I'm thinking this really strong leader of the tribe that's kind of taken over and emasculated the chief is the one that came through.
Yeah. I don't know.
It would be funny if almost none of them were just a hat, 4 of them were from actual caveman
See, that's
times.
what I kind of leaning towards is it's just a few now.
Yeah. The ones that are there are smart enough to hide it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's starting to undermine.
I think it's
everything.
too much. I think it might be
too
too
much.
much.
Yeah,
Well, maybe just the cannibals.
I like the idea of the cannibals because it's funny and it lends itself to some really great jokes.
Yeah, and,
Right?
and the fact that this missing link of Cro-Magnon was always us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love about it is that we can lean into that a little bit without going too far overboard.
Yeah,
because
we don't want too many time travelers.
All of
Exactly.
that paradox where it's like, how the hell?
Yeah, you still want to see the impact that Rex has on
Yeah.
the people of the era.
Yeah, that's true, because we're going to have another one come back.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we already decided who that was going to be too. That was going to be her.
Yeah.
So never mind. The strong female leader type.
And you have the guy that's living in current times, which I
Which
really
is,
love.
again, that same character, the actual leader of the tribe.
Yeah. Well, that was I wanted to make that one female.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. The actual leader, not the quote unquote leader, air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. You could have it. So, okay. So we're talking really weird ass paradox. You can have the female character that we have that came from today times go back in time, and the cave woman she befriends is the tour guide at the thing as an older person.
Yes.
And that's why they take such an interest in her, is because she's like, oh, I recognize you. But the other person doesn't because it hasn't happened yet.
Way to catch up.
Sorry. That took me a second.
I
But I
know.
love explaining it.
Paradoxes are hard.
Sometimes you got to walk through them.
That's a t-shirt.
I have some ideas for t-shirts, and I'll show them to you after we record.
Paradoxes are hard.
Watch our site.
And then it's just two ducks.
Okay, we got any more some additions here before we get into casting here. I think we kind of got it. Like the emotional core that this movie didn't have, we've got.
Yeah.
Loaded up with a bunch of comedians who actually have timing and can help you in the writing of this. I actually have some writer-directors here, but you want to beef up those sight gags for sure.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. I mean, certainly my cast is dinky because I had an idea for what was happening if we were doing it the same general idea as the original script.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like
I was thinking college students more than high school students.
Yeah, I don't even have high school students. My dude's like a 40-year-old.
I know, I understand that, and that does change the dynamics quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the core of what we've done still works no matter what the setup is in modern world.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I didn't feel like the school setting was important at all. It didn't really matter. So, like, and then it's fine. Like, I can't wait to hear all your casts. But it was kind of funny as how it was clicking. Like, when I finished the movie, I had one person in mind.
Nice.
But as I kind of slept it through and let it work through my brain, I'm like, oh, man, I actually do have a really good idea here. Because I didn't know what to really do with it. Because we've never done anything like this before. No. So thank you for that, Morgan.
Yeah.
It's interesting how you talk. Like, it used to be, high school used to be shorthand for being an outsider, being the nerd. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's the only point in your life you're ever going to be an outsider. In the 80s, that was all the shorthand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's why it was.
Well, and it's set up the field trip, right? Their reason for being at these caves. And that still works in a college setting or a scholarly setting or a doctor setting.
Yeah, that's one of my big beefs about this movie is it's all scripted through convenience.
Yeah.
You know, that's the trope. We'll do that, but that gets us from A to B. They're not trying very hard. What is making this character grow? Fuck all.
Yeah, and that's really the only thing I wanted to focus on is how do we take this character who waffles between being likable and being reprehensible. Mm-hmm. How do you sort of change that and make him show a pattern of growth?
You can't really do like this kind of exploitation sex comedy anymore. So you kind of have to move it like just a touch into romantic comedy, but stick with the absurd.
Yeah.
While still having the adventure of being amongst prehistoric man.
Yeah.
And it's a delicate balance.
That's right. And I wanted to focus more on that sort of balance, that adventure there, because he doesn't really grow.
No. And you need that growth, but you need to have those character flaws established before he goes, not while he's there.
Yeah. And that's what I like about like how he's just so dedicated to his work and he's so cut off from everybody. It would be interesting, like that's how he becomes more connected with the world, is like he's literally immersed in his work, and that's
I mean, and that's simple too, but it's complicated and one we can all relate to. To some level, because we've all felt it at some point in our lives where you've gotten busy, you've neglected your partner or whatever. It's completely unintentional, doesn't affect your love for that person, but sometimes you need that gentle reminder or your relationship goes tits up.
Yes.
I had one more question though, because we're making the cannibals modern. I'm wondering, I don't know, I was trying to figure out a good idea for like saving them that would like mess with a modern sensibility.
We do need something, because I do want to kind of keep, like, Rex isn't a manly man. He's constantly running from things. He knows the world, but he's still academic in his thinking. And like
he's not an action hero.
No, he's not an action hero. My guy, it definitely does not have the action body at all, but is very lovable.
Nice.
And that's kind of what we want. We want this lovable character, and we need to see him grow into and find his bravery. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what this movie does. They don't do it very well at all. Mm-hmm. And it had. I actually texted to Sam. I'm like, "Oh fuck! They did the Spies Like Us ending."
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they literally ripped it from that movie.
Yeah.
Where he dresses up like an alien with what he had on hand. He had the hat with the umbrella and
the
like
skull.
There were lots of those lying around. Yeah. And the poncho and he made himself glow. Like it was the same thing.
And he had so many like cherry bombs. And at a certain point, I'm like, what is he going to do when he runs out?
Yeah. Yeah. And that moment is important. Mm-hmm. The method.
But now that doesn't work because you're not scaring a primitive man who's going to think this is all crazy stuff. Yeah. He could try it, and they're going, dude, the cherry bombs ain't going to work. They know what it is.
But they don't know that there's another modern man there. So,
no.
So
it'll freak them out, but it's not going to make them run.
No, it's not going to.
You're going to have to do something to make them think that something bigger that they're familiar and should be afraid of.
You could bring them back the honey bear, where he has them doused in honey, and the bear that we see earlier comes barreling through.
They already established as a relationship with that bear. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Great minds.
There you go, yes.
Wee woo, wee woo.
And we can add bees on top of it.
Yes, please.
Why not?
Yeah.
Or no, some sort of insect.
Yeah.
I guess bees have their own honey.
Giant bees. That's what they would be back then.
Everything's bigger.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, prehistoric man. Yeah, prehistoric man would be. There could be still things that have saber tooths.
Oh, well, the bear, when I was watching it, that's also sort of occurred to me because I'm like, the bear that actually would be around at the time is about twice that size.
Yes.
Right.
Everything's still a little bit bigger.
The mammoth still would have existed as well. So there's lots of.
I mean, I don't know enough about the animals of the era, but everything's bigger.
Yeah.
This morning I saw a picture of some diver who came across a 7-meter anaconda. I reposted it on our Facebook page, and 7 meters would be equivalent to 2 stories of a building.
21 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They could be huge.
Yeah. So I think that leading into that and having him use his environment rather than tricks to make it work, I think is better. Because again, it shows his ingenuity, it shows his intelligence.
Yeah, because by that point, he'll probably notice something's off about these cannibals, right?
Yeah. The fact that they're speaking.
Yeah. If they find the pit of skulls and a leftover fork or something, what? To tip him off.
Oh, and it's a stolen fork from some
like McDonald's or something like that.
Yeah. It's a stolen fork. A spork.
Yeah. A spork would even be better. Yeah. And we could have they've kidnapped the tribe and Rex is trying to rescue the tribe and Eba, and he's got this spork. and while the cannibals, we can have dude, I don't know. Did you see my spork?
Because they're great for eyeballs. Because you get them right in, and you squish him,
and that's how you do the joke.
Yeah,
yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah. Sporks are all for eyeballs or grapefruit spoons, something like that.
Well, since they got the biggest cast, should I go first today?
You should, because my cast is 3 and a director. So
Mine
and maybe they'll spark some thoughts. Mine just kept going and going and going. But
that's awesome, though.
There's one character that reminded me of a comedian, and that kind of fired everything off. But
I just put various cavemen.
Fair enough. That's where you can keep going and going and going. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's start with my Rex. I already mentioned I wanted to make him black and lovable, and we're going to make him an archaeological teacher of some sort, or just on a dig. Doesn't really matter. We can flesh that out. When we write the script, we're never going to write.
Yeah.
Little Rel Howery.
Taj Mowry?
No, little Rel Howery. He was in Get Out. He was the buddy that he was
I loved him.
Yeah. Let's give him a lead. I want to see him.
He was very good.
Yeah, he was great. For Eba, I went with Rosie Huntington Whiteley. I still wanted to maintain the impossible beauty. She was in Transformers Dark of the Moon, and Mad Max Fury Road as one of the princesses or whatever they were.
Yeah, they were
one of the concubines, the unwilling concubines.
Yeah, she was one of them, and they were all gorgeous. So she hasn't got a ton of acting credits, but more than most of the people in this movie.
Yeah.
And all we need her to do is to do some good gobbledygook and has some good facials, and she's already done better roles.
Yes.
So,
Well, I mean, it's very Daryl Hannah and Clan of the Cave Bear.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And that works too. For Saba, and I don't know if I got her right, she was the skinny one.
Yes.
With kind of the unibrow,
yes.
the darker hair. I instantly thought Sarah Silverman,
Nice.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I'm not having any nudity in mine at all.
Yeah, no,
I didn't think it was relevant. For Akka, the other one, the one that kept showing her tits, that doesn't happen. We've changed her to this secret leader who's
the
actually
real alpha.
Yeah.
the real alpha of this tribe. But I kind of still wanted a broad woman, and I went with Melissa McCarthy.
Nice. I'd like to see that.
For the chief, I think it's even funnier if you have like a buff dude who looks like he should be in charge and
Is horribly incompetent.
well, no, I think he would be competent, but he's struggling to be a leader because he's always undermined by my Melissa McCarthy character. So I went with Frank Grillo,
Nice.
the only one who actually is an action hero normally. And I want to see him do amazing things, but it's completely irrelevant because she's always one step ahead of him. And I think that's where the comedy comes from, right?
Oh, and I would like it every once in a while. She comes back with a kill
Yes.
when he does
I was
not.
just thinking about it. He's getting ready to go, and she comes back and throws something on the fire.
That's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page with that. You like the joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
Love the
There
joke.
was another guy who I don't think that was the leader. He was always kind of spying on them all the time. And I think there's still potential with that gag. And there was a certain look, and he's kind of the goofy one in the group that is kind of learning to hunt and stuff. Charlotte Copley.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one who is doing that, he's the one who comes through the portal at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've changed that.
We've changed that, but yeah, that's
I mean,
what
it
that was.
worked with any of these actors.
No, it's not the one who comes to the portal. I actually think he was the chief in the original film because he's wearing the wolf headdress.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, he was.
Right, so-
Yeah. On to my fine young cannibals. They're not actually so young. For cannibal number 1, Seth Rogen.
Yes.
For cannibal number 2, Danny McBride.
Didn't they already do that? And this is the end?
Kind of. Danny McBride turned cannibal. That's what made me
Well, he
thought
turned
of it.
cannibal and he had Channing Tatum as his
Yeah.
fuckhole.
Oh, let's add him too.
Yeah.
I did have a fire breather. I don't know if she can or not, and I wanted to keep her Asian. I went with Brenda Song. She was
Nice.
in the Social Network, and she's done. She's a regular on Dollface, the TV series,
Yeah.
and a shit ton of voice work for animation.
Yes.
I have a cast for Rex's friends in the present day
Nice.
because we do need to see a social circle because we need to see
Or
what
an antisocial circle because they don't
we
like
need
him
to
very
see
much.
what. Well, no, they're going to like him, but we want to see how his relationships with these people is broken, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to establish some
That's
of those
perfect,
people,
yeah.
right? I don't want him to be unlikable. He has a good relationship with these people, but he's not giving them enough time, and they are fed up with him. So Keegan Michael Key.
Nice.
Daniel Kaluuya, since they were together in Get Out, might as well
Yes.
keep the team together. Rochelle Aites, I do believe, or Aites. She was in Trick or Treat, the anthology one.
Oh.
And Persia White, she was in Cargo, and she's a regular on Girlfriends, the TV
Cool.
series. And for directors, I've cast, I've given the job to writer-directors. Their nickname is the Daniels, but they're not related. Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinhardt. And the Daniels were the directors of Swiss Army Man.
Okay.
Nice.
They're very
Okay,
good with
then
physical
yes.
comedy. That's a really great choice.
Now, I did some digging. It took a while to put the cast together, but once things started clicking, it clicked. And by the time I was finished, I'm like, wow, actually got a full movie cast here, and I'm really proud of it. So that's my guys, and pretty well rounded actually.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that. Trish, why don't you fire off yours?
Okay, so mine is very, very small. I had a running joke I was going to do with this. I had an Alex and a Rex. And it would be because, when you've heard something in a different language and you probably don't catch the nuance, they might keep calling one Alex, one Rex, and just like interposing it. So Alex was Beanie Feldstein from Booksmart. Rex, I had Joseph Gordon-Levitt because I was also kind of going a little bit older. The teacher, just for shits and giggles, was Brendan Fraser.
That's fine. Yep.
as Encino Man. And Eba was Caitlin Devers, who was also in Booksmart.
Okay.
And then I put various cavemen.
We can pull from some of ours. Or, it can be tough when you you got 5 cavemen in the original movie and
They don't have much to do either, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. And if they didn't start coming to me, I thought I was only going to have 3 or 4 people tops.
But I love it. Having them come from the future just opens up so many more possibilities for comedy.
And that was my thinking too, is this opens the door wide.
Absolutely. And then my director, I went with Mindy Kaling because I'm like, she does know comedy, so maybe she could help this one.
I almost went there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, that's not bad as your core for sure.
Oh yeah, this movie kind of doesn't need it's huge, but it's not huge.
Yeah, it actually has a fairly large cast because you got you got those 4 girls chasing him in the locker room. Well, we're not doing that, and then there's still about 6 or 7 kind of filling out the class in a way, make it look large enough, and a bunch of extras for the classroom field trip to fill. You need enough to fill a bus essentially. That core was kind of 5 people, and I think they were pretty much the same actors because they they pull the Wizard of Oz gag.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking, and I was thinking you just grab the cast of Riverdale, drop them into that role,
Sure,
and then Wizard of Oz it to the back, and you could have a lot of fun with them, being all made up with hairy and dirty and stuff like that. It'd be a lot of fun because they're all very pretty, right? Yeah. And I kind of like the idea of dirtying them up a little bit,
and have the Jughead character just randomly wearing stuff on his head.
Yes. Yeah, so that was that's why I didn't flesh it out. I was thinking you take one of those teen dramas and you can have a little bit of fun with it. For my actual cast, for Rex, I cast Zachary Gordon. And I was thinking college age rather than high school because they would be going on things like archaeological digs. So it's kind of on the same wavelength as you. Just the only reason I really wanted to keep it in school was because I wanted Daniel Roebuck as the professor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because he's of that age now.
Yeah, and he's a very established actor now.
Yeah, but Zachary Gordon is played the Greg the Wimpy Kid in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid movies. So he does that sort of awkward really well, but he's grown up now, and he's also doing more serious roles. So like I said earlier, I wanted that physical transformation as well.
Nice.
So if he can sort of do the body language and make himself feel a bit smaller, so that you sort of see not only does he grow emotionally, but he also grows physically, because you would in a situation like that. You're starving, you're doing more physical activity. There's so many things that would change as you live in an environment like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I was thinking that in that direction as well. And then for my Eva, I'm a huge fan of this actress, and I don't think I've ever cast her before, but I would like to see Samara Weaving in that role because she does so many great things with her face when she acts. And given that she has so little to do with dialogue, I want an actress who can really convey emotion with her face really well.
I like that choice too.
Yeah. I just watched Guns Akimbo, and that was exactly it. It took me 20 minutes of that movie to figure out it was her.
Yes. Yeah, because she doesn't talk for a good hunk of it.
And she transforms.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this actress is she is not afraid to uglify herself for a role. She is absolutely not afraid to not look like herself.
Not easy for her.
I know.
Because she's so pretty.
Even when she does it, you're still like, okay, you're still startlingly beautiful. And she's that beautiful that makes me just a little bit angry.
And she's so talented on top of it all, right?
Yeah.
But she does kind of have unconventional beauty too, so it's one of those you could change it a little bit up a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean,
and give her that caveman look a little bit.
And that was the thing is I was thinking because she would not have perfectly done hair, she'd have messy, ratty hair. Yeah. And there's that scene where she's bathing. Right, and you don't have to show the scene itself. That was actually fairly respectful.
Yeah, they actually did it from behind. Yeah, you get an ass shot. It was very far in the distance. We've seen that in a lot of different movies. Yeah, it was done respectively. I actually wasn't sure we were ever going to see anything of her at all, really. And then they had her pull her top off at the end.
Yeah, unnecessarily, but hence gratuitous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of her going, sort of her transforming as well, not just mentally and emotionally, but physically as well. She sees that she can take care of herself and comb her hair and wash her body. And so you could have that moment of transformation where you can see that she's pretty underneath all of the dirt and stuff like that. She kind of looks at the way Rex takes care of himself and says, well, I can do that too. It's not that she wants to look beautiful, but it's just that I can do that too kind of thing.
And it could be that instance where she sees how Rex takes care of himself and she likes that. But what she was trying to do was replicate the rest of the tribe's like grimy look, and it just wasn't happening for her.
And I think that's actually could be a natural progress for that scene, because we should have Rex bathing in the stream first because he's used to doing it daily. And then that's a copied maneuver for her. And that also gives him an opportunity to see her differently and see her clean and whatever. And I think that would work really well.
Yeah, and that's what that's where my head was going.
Yeah.
And then also there's that whole scene with the deodorant where she likes the way he smells.
Yeah, she keeps trying to eat
That
it.
actually kind of worked. That was
really
a gag
well.
that actually I think could stay.
Yes.
Because they actually use it.
Yeah.
When she's looking for him, she could smell his deodorant.
Yeah.
Right. And I liked that. Like, there's some really smart moments.
That's the kind of stuff that you would think that Primal Man would still be relying on senses.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of those things. It's like, well, they are trying to do some smart stuff in here.
Yeah.
Like from time to time, there's some stuff that they've thought about and works in a logical way.
Yeah. Well, why on earth do we as modern humans, like, we have all of those scented deodorants, we have colognes, we have perfumes. It comes from a very primal place of wanting to be with somebody who smells good to you.
Yeah, that still comes down to scent and attraction.
Yeah.
That is all pheromones.
Yeah. And I want to lean into the character's ingenuity more too, because he makes the bed for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Right? But he makes the bed, and
should be because this is not a guy who's used to roughing it. He's used to living on a soft bed. And if he makes a bed, it's because he can't sleep on a rock.
And he makes a shelter because he doesn't want to get rained on.
Yeah.
Like, all these things should happen because he's trying to make his time here more comfortable.
These are necessities of what he perceives as life, rather than a necessity of getting laid.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's quite literally changing history in the process, or creating history in the process.
Yeah, and somewhere along the way, whatever the object we have pre-buried, we have to see him using and pulling out of his backpack.
Yes.
Or his satchel or whatever he's got with him.
Yeah, and I mean, you could even have them finding it before he goes through the portal. Like, his group of friends can be like, what is this doing here? And it could even have like his like initials on it. It's like, there's that moment, right?
He's a D&D nerd and he calls it his bag of holding.
Yes.
Nice.
The nerds will get that joke.
Maybe it really is.
It is.
Yeah. But, maybe it's something like a compass or like a GPS thing, because he would have that in his backpack.
Or the flashlight that they destroy.
Oh,
Yes.
the flashlight. Yeah, because they're constantly trying to steal shit from him.
Yeah.
They're very
not gonna get
Yoda
it all
in that
back.
respect.
Yeah.
So yeah. So they see his mangled flashlight and like they're like, this looks a lot like that flashlight. Like, why is this here? It looks like a lot like a flashlight. And then they realize that and then you sort of see it in the same shape it's left in after they find it and break it, because it keeps turning on them, which was funny.
Yes. They're like, I finally killed it. No.
Ish, yeah.
It went a little bit too long.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny-ish is as good as this movie gets.
Yeah.
There were all these potentially great moments that fell just a smidge flat.
Yeah. IMDb rates this a 3.7 out of 10.
I'm impressed by that, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely higher than you might expect. Actually, once I saw it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
I almost thought it might have been a little too harsh. I maybe gone 4.5. Rotten Tomatoes, no critics bothered to touch it.
No.
But you can take a stab at audience score if you like.
I think audiences might have enjoyed this more. Like you say, it's his favorite movie. 48%.
All right.
I'm of mixed feelings because in the end, I did have a lot of fun with the movie. Yeah, I'm still going to stay in those 40s. I'm going to say 43%.
Well, we are pretty forgiving here at Invasion of the Remake.
Oh, God.
For Morgan's favorite movie, 13% liked it.
Ooh, that is really harsh.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm guessing that was Morgan.
Yeah. He bumped it up to that 13 through dedicated years of...
Yes, but I do have to thank him. He actually gave us our first sex comedy, and we really kind of had to move outside the box to make this work, because the original conceit of a sex comedy doesn't work right now.
And we
just
haven't
doesn't.
tackled time travel, I don't think, at this level, really.
No, so this was actually a really good pick, despite the teasing from the Lannister at the beginning. So that's not bad.
Well, it has everything we ask. It was a movie that had a nugget of some good ideas, or had some nuggets in it that we could pull on and come up with something new with that still kept the essence of the original story.
Well, you know what I would say is there's one thing about this movie I actually really, truly, and greatly appreciated was they didn't dumb it down by putting a dinosaur in it.
Yes.
Like, they were going kind of what should make sense.
Yeah, you don't want to do this and be anachronistic. Like, we've got enough of that already, but you don't want to have early man living amongst dinosaurs when that's factually inaccurate.
Well, in particular considering even the men that are in this movie, they didn't exist in North America. It's already anachronistic because they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, we're already taking liberties as well. Like, I think we should be setting it on a different continent. And who's to say that this crystal has to take them to the same place?
Right?
Exactly. It's just a portal. It can take them anywhere on the planet.
It's space and time.
Yeah.
Or penis and vagina portals.
Yes, penis and vagina portals.
You had to spell it out for them?
I wanted to say penis and vagina.
Okay.
They're just words. They're...
Would you like to say them too, Trish?
Yes, penis and vagina.
Okay, and my turn. Penis and vagina.
Penis, penis, penis.
Bear.
Vagina, vagina, vagina.
Cougar.
Rabbit. Because there is a rabbit.
There is a rabbit.
Yes. That they rescue instead of eating.
It was
Yeah.
a rescue, yeah.
See, I was expecting her to, like, break its neck and be like, good eating. Because that's what you would do.
We never see them eat meat.
No.
The only meat eaters were the cannibals.
Yeah. And you never see them eating meat either.
Yeah, I think part of the joke of them hunting would be like they did kill something, they feel bad about it, and they are literally the first vegans.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that would be hilarious. There should be a, like, he goes back to the portal, comes back, and it's like a tray of espressos.
We have to address the crappy ending too. We never did do that because the ending. We
kind of did.
We
talked about it.
Part of it, but we didn't talk about our Rex's ending, whether that be Trish's Rex or our Rex or your Rex.
I know. I mean, in the context of the story I set up, Rex has to go home. I think he has to go home. But the way we've told that story is Eba's now accepted back into her tribe as Rex is back into his in the modern day. All makes sense. And we've got those end goals set up. Great. Because the way we've structured that, there is no romantic involvement, or at least there may be initial on a primal level from Eba that she learns that, oh no, that's not what I really want here. I want to be with my family.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I don't want the walking off into the sunset for each of them kind of ending is what I meant, is because that is weak and lazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got a happy ending, but that we worked really hard to get to.
Yeah. Well, and it also gives like just the larger theme of like maybe happiness is, where you are now.
Yeah.
And you have to make it happy for you and other people.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of wanted to keep that dynamic where his circle of people are kind of cruel to him and treat him poorly, because as he comes back, they see the physical and emotional transformation in this character, right? And it's not that sort of tropey comeuppance, I'm better than you, or I'm this is who I really am kind of thing. It's just that they see the change in him. And there's sort of they start to realize that he wasn't the person they thought he was. Yeah, right? And I kind of wanted to see that recognition there, because while it still leans a little bit towards that trope, it's still very satisfying.
Yeah, it's more of a metaphorical walk into the sunshine. He would come through the portal, and the first thing he would do is hop on his cell phone, call his girlfriend and his friends. He's like, "Hey, get the gang together. We're going out tonight."
Yeah,
and it'd be like, "We are," and that's where he's figured it out.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'd like to see it where like some of the people are like, oh my God, it's like you're alive again. Like you used to be this guy.
Yeah.
And now like we've gotten you
Just
back.
give us a little more time. And I don't know if because in the movie, he's gone for weeks, months. I don't know. It's quite a while.
And it's been
20 minutes in real time.
Yeah. And that's why, like I said, that part of the reason I want that physical transformation as well, because again, weeks or months in an environment like that, you are going to be physically changed.
full beard.
Well, he shaves, and he makes a point of shaving, right? So that's so.
I don't see like a Lil Ray Howery or Rel Howery hitting the gym to get to the end of this movie, but
No.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like there probably would be some sort of physical transformation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
his clothes are going to be dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
and
the
rags.
And yeah, they're not going to look. If he's there for that length of time, he's not going to look the same way he went in.
No, and as a matter of fact, they don't look the same way they went in anyhow because he had tears and dirt on them before he went in,
Yeah.
and they were pristine when he came out.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
he kept. Remember, he said like when he got trapped in the porta potty, guys, this was my last pair of pants. Like he's packs multiple pairs of pants because these
Yeah.
pranks happen to him daily.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, this is so bad.
Yeah, that was bad. But yeah, I just think that that's important to recognize that I mean, it doesn't have to be getting buff or anything like that. I mean, it could be a beard or
Yeah, no, that's what you want to see, that passage of time.
yeah, right. And I mean, even for characters who aren't going to necessarily work out and get buff or whatever, I mean, they've proven that they can CGI an actor down to a smaller size. So you could have an actor come out looking smaller than he should because it's only been 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're probably the kind of comedy we're going for. I don't think that's required for that kind of transformation, but the full scraggly beard and like, dude, you were cleanly shaven this morning. What the hell?
And because there is a
that's
joke there, right? That's the thing. Is there's a
right.
joke
Yeah.
there because
There's a joke there.
Your 5 o'clock shadow has just hit 3 a.m.
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Your 5 o'clock shadow was a bunch of 5 o'clocks ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why I wanted that transformation because it addresses a whole bunch of things, right? And it does set up that sort of that shock moment. It's like, why do you look so different?
And body posture can do a whole bunch because, like, you can see some fit guys where when they stand up and they suck in, they look all great, but just a little leaning over, like just being like,
belly,
life is.
Yeah, we have the character kind of pushing his stomach out a little bit, and then in the final scenes tucking it back in. Yeah, it's just a posturing thing and easily sold.
Yeah, and that's why I cast the way I did. I didn't want The Rock. I didn't want him coming out looking like The Rock. I just wanted some sense of change in the way he presents himself.
Yeah.
Because he has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when you're feeling good, you're walking tall.
Yeah. Well, I think we've came up with something that we've transformed a outdated sex comedy. It was outdated in 85.
Yeah.
And turned it into something complex and modern that I think actually could be successful.
Oh, yeah. You know what? When we talk about the 2 entrance points and the paradox, this could be a series if you really
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah.
You really could turn this into something with a little more leg and turn it into a Netflix show or something like that. Or even mainstream, really. There's nothing in there that wouldn't work on mainstream television.
Well, you'd have this penis and vagina. Portals might be pushing it.
Okay, yeah, we do have some little bit of raunch in there. Yeah.
Penis and vagina. Penis and vagina. You should just be able to say penis and
Cougar.
vagina. Just
Bear.
words. Rabbit.
All right. Well, if you would like to make a fan challenge like Morgan Stark did, then let us know at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook and Instagram, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com. And you can send us your suggestions, your corrections, and your comments. And of course, the fan challenges like Morgan did. And make sure it's kind of got a 20-year barrier. I'm not going to hit anything after the year 2000, essentially. Make sure it's got some room for improvement. Tell us why you think it should be, why you think it has some potential for a remake. Sell me on it. You got to sell me on it. And then tell me where to find it. If it's too obscure and we can't find it, it's not going to get made, guys. So it won't become an episode. We've had our white whales before, and they've literally taken us years to track down. So try not to make it too hard on us.
Could I add one thing to it? If you do a question like, this is my favorite movie, can you tell us why?
Please tell me why.
And please put on your thick skin because we are going to pick on you.
Of course.
It's not intended to be mean or hurtful. It's just... we have questions.
Yeah, if you've listened to our show, we're going to tease you a little bit about this because inevitably you're probably going to be picking some crappy movies to shove in our face. Not always, though. We've had some real gems that got tossed in, and made it even harder.
Yes.
But we didn't know better because we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But, that's the challenge. We like the challenge. So try to be weird or creative. Find something interesting. Make it interesting. And that'll interest us as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you tell your friends and family about the show. Get the word out. And more than ever, we're 6 years in, and us old people, we need help.
we forget things sometimes.
Yeah, so please share it out and say, hey, they interact with their audience and they're making their ideas as episodes. So you're part of the show essentially by submitting and talking to us and sharing out the show. You are the reason this thing happens. So make sure you don't keep us your dirty little secret. Share it out and tell everybody about the show. And there's lots of ways you can do that. One of them is by going to our website,
invasionoftheremake.wixsite.com/podcast.
And over there, you can find a handy dandy little merchandise button that'll take you to our store. And over there, that'll take you to the TeePublic Store. And over there, you can find t-shirts, mugs, posters, PPE masks, and all sorts of cool stuff with loads of designs and more that we're coming up with all the time as inspiration from these shows. We had one today. So,
does anybody remember it?
Paradox? Paradoxes are hard?
Paradoxes are hard.
I remember because I said paradox.
That's right. Paradox. There's also a potential for that one. But yeah, check back often, and you never know when a new design's going to pop up. Well, you might know if you follow us on our social media. You probably will know. And you'll also be able to see when a sale pops up, because we'll let you know about that too.
If I don't miss it.
Yeah, and exactly. You youngsters, if you can tell all your friends on the Instagrammas and the Snapcharts and the Facebookings. Tell all your kid friends.
Right. Okay, well, we'll be back next week with a comparison. Until then, I've been Jason.
I'm always Sam.
And I continue to be Trish.
And we are out of here.
After mastering the language, I set about with my observations. I felt the best way to start would be in the tribal camp at the hearth. Their mannerisms are not that far distant or removed from our own. They eat in a similar fashion, although without utensils. And they gesture when they talk. They communicate in non-verbal ways and have a wry sense of humor. Which I later came to find out means, you dumb son of a bitch.